Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So that means cutting all my vegetables and making things that take a little bit longer. So today I'm going to make a pepper and tomato soup. But we'll always start with cutting up some vegetables. So right now I'm just slicing up an onion, and this is going to go in my soup. That's why I'm using a yellow onion for that, just for color. And let's just get started on the menu. So for lunch today, I'm going to have some sandwiches. That's what I usually do on Sundays, because those are my cheat days. Normally I don't have carbs for lunch, but on the weekend I do. And I have some chicken deli meat for that. Actually, let me get a big container and I can put all my soup ingredients in there. There we go. Then we have some more onions, some red onions. One I'm going to slice, one I'm going to dice. So this one I'll slice up. So for dinner tonight, I'm going to have some shawarma wraps. So with that, I'll have some gyro wraps, I should say. Basically same thing, just slightly different seasoning. With that, I'll have some onions, some peppers. I'll do some lettuce with that. And then we're on Monday, Meatless Monday. For lunch, I'm going to have that soup that I mentioned. And then for dinner, I'm going to do a couscous salad with falafel. So the couscous salad will be with, I think I have whole wheat couscous. And I'll mix that with cucumber, peppers, parsley, all that good stuff. And then the other onion I'm going to dice up. So for that, I'll leave on the root end. And I'll cut it this way first, towards the root. And then I'll cut across for a dice. Then on Tuesday for lunch, I have some sausage, and I have some sugar snaps. And then for dinner, I'm going to make some chicken quesadillas. I still have some salsa left over from last week that I can use with that. And then we're on Wednesday. For lunch, I'm going to do a low-carb stir-fry, where I use broccoli stems as the filler instead of noodles or rice. And I'll just have that with some chicken and some random veggies like onion, carrot, peppers, chilies, that kind of stuff. And then we're on Thursday. For lunch, I'm going to do some sausage with some broccoli. And then for dinner, I'm going to do a rice bowl, a chicken fajita rice bowl. So I'll marinate the chicken. I'll have that with some peppers, onions, garlic. And I'll have that with some lime cilantro rice. And then for Thursday, some sausage with some broccoli. And then for dinner, I'm going to do some fried rice with chicken. So again, the fried rice, I'll use the leftover rice from Wednesday before I put the lime cilantro in there, of course. But I'll have that with chicken, maybe some sugar snaps, carrots, all kinds of veggies, whatever I've left over, basically. Some leek. And then we're on Friday, Fish Friday. For lunch, I'm going to do a tuna salad. So I'll make that with a can of tuna, some mayo, some finely diced red onion. That's why one of the reasons I need to dice that. And some celery, etc. I'll probably add some curry powder. I quite like that. And then for dinner, have some salmon in puff pastry. And I'll have some potato wedges with that, and what else? I'll probably have some sugar snaps left over, so I'll probably use that. So for the fried rice, I need some leek. So let's just cut that into rings. This I'll save for another day. And these rings can go in my container. And let's get some more soup ingredients. So here I have some celery, cut off the very end. And let's start actually with a little bit for my tuna salad. That I'll dice. I don't need that much, maybe like half a rib. Just adds a nice little bit of a crunch to my tuna salad. That's probably enough. And then the rest I'll cut up. I'm gonna blend my soup so I don't need it too fine, but I don't want too big of a chunk either, because that will make it a lot harder to use my stick blender. So I'll just slice it up. And I'll just put that in with my onions for the soup. Then next up, I have some carrots. Again, for my stir fry and my fried rice. I'll take off the very tips, but also for my soup. So just these root ends I'll just cut off. And these I'll just slice up. I don't need to do them too fine for the soup, but since I'm cutting it all at once, it doesn't hurt. But yeah, I'll just cut all these up. And about half of this I'll add to my soup. And about half I'll use for my fried rice and my low-carb stir-fry. And next up I have some parsley for my couscous salad. So I'll give it a rough chop first. And then I'll just keep running my knife through until everything is nice and fine. And just so I know which is which later, my parsley I'll keep with the carrot because they're related. And my cilantro will go slightly separate from that. Because once they're cut, they look the same. Okay, then I have this cucumber. And for my couscous salad, I want to dice this. And then this other half I'll slice up for my sandwiches and maybe for my shawarma wraps tonight. Next up, let's do the cilantro. And the same as the parsley, I'll just give it a rough chop first. And then I'll keep running my knife through until it's nice and fine. And this is for my lime cilantro rice with my chicken fajita bowl. Then next up, let's do some peppers. So I'm gonna dice 2 and slice 2. So these are gonna go in my my soup, my fajita rice bowl, and my wraps. Maybe I'll add some to my quesadillas as well. So let's cut these in half and clean them out. Alright, like I said, 2 I'm going to slice. And these two are for my soup. And actually, of these other two halves, an orange and a red, I'll slice as well. Those are going to go in things like my fajita bowl. And these I'll dice, and those go in my couscous salad. So I'll cut them lengthwise, and then across. Then next up I have some chilies. So I have some red, some yellow, some green. The red, 2 of them I'll use for the soup. Just gonna leave the seeds in. And I'm using the red ones just for color, because I want the soup to stay as red as possible. And then I have these 3 different color ones, just for different colors, honestly. And I'll use those for my fajita rice bowl, for my gyro wraps, etc. My stir fries. Then I have some tomatoes. They're gonna go in my soup, but I'm gonna add them slightly later. So I want to keep them separate for now. And I'll just quarter these, so when I put them in, they'll cook down faster, and I'll just do that for the whole bunch. And the reason I want to add them later is because there's a lot of moisture. So I want to cook everything down first before I put something with a lot of liquid in. Okay, that's tomatoes. Then next up I have some broccoli. So I'll use the stems, or the florets, for one of my meals, so I'll cut those off. And I'll make them into bite-sized pieces. And then the stems are not going to go to waste. I'll use those for my low-carb stir-fry. So cut these as fine as you want. This is fine enough for me, but you can go finer. It's just a little more work. And I'll just dice that up. And that will be the replacement for things like noodles or rice in my low-carb stir-fry. And then the only thing I'm not going to use is this very end, because that can be a bit dry. But the rest is all fair game. And it's a good way to use up some leftovers and reduce your waste, because they're nutritious and tasty. And then lastly, for chopping today, I just have a little bit of lettuce left over. You know what? It's not that much, so don't need to save the rest, because that's also from last week already. Let's just slice some of this up for my gyro wraps. And that should be plenty. 26 minutes, done with the chopping. I'm going to clean up a bit, preheat my Ninja Foodi, and then we'll make the soup. So while I was putting things away, I preheated my Ninja Foodi on saute. So I'll add a bit of oil. And here I have my onion, my celery, my chilies, my peppers, and I'll add a little bit of garlic to that as well. And I have my carrots in here. So I'll add those to the pan. And I'll add a bit of salt. And I'll just let this soften for a bit. Now that the vegetables have softened a bit, I'm going to add my quartered tomatoes. And I'll give those a few minutes to cook down a little bit as well. And now that that has softened as well, I'm going to add some water. And then change this from saute to pressure cook. You could do slow cook as well, or you can make this in a regular pan. But I have a pressure cooker, and that makes things a lot quicker, especially with filming. So I'll go 30 minutes, high, valve is closed, And that way all the vegetables will be done, and I'm just gonna blitz it up, and that's ready to serve. Alright, the soup is done, so now I'm just gonna take my stick blender and I'm just gonna blitz that down. And that is the soup done. Tomorrow I just need to heat that through, and then that's ready for lunch. So that's all the prep work for this week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. Now if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. If you want to see what I do with all the ingredients and the things that I prepped, you can check out my Instagram, which is linked below, or you can check out the video that I post about once a month on here, where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week, and I just posted one last Friday. So yeah, if that sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time, bye for now.